Welcome back, folks. We got Halls 18 today with our rarely seen rogue friend. That's how bad he is. You can see him. I don't think I have a Halls for my Paladin up. This is the poll I do on my Paladin. I run in and I kick that man because, you know, whatever. Always watch out the frontals if you're a melee DPS here. Like, your tank's trying to get everybody on the same pixel, and I'm like, there's my potion. I occasionally remove potion from my bar and then forget to throw it back on. But yeah, pretty easy pull. It's tyrannical week, so it's not a big deal. It is bolstering though, so if those bears get big and a couple of ads have already died, you can see I hodged that one. One has 3 stacks. Rogue there gets deadly thrusted, guaranteed. I probably mouse over to double check, but Gargans don't do any kind of fervent, or they're not going to attack anybody that's not the tank. You can kite them for days, and I generally would, unless you have a really good reason for, you know, for wanting to stay in. Mostly just kind of like if they get loyal beast cast, kite it, and if you have, you know, a couple stacks to however many is your comfortable max stacks of the bleed. Also good to dodge deadly thrust as a tank on fortified weeks. On these weeks, it doesn't really matter. Not taking a particularly large amount of damage or anything. This is always a little bit weird because you have somebody instant aggroing. That's the rogue, didn't tricks me. Thanks, Heron. But getting that second add-in, the obliterators that are just casting, you want to get them in so they can, you know, be susceptible to AoE CC. They're easier for melee to kick. I was busy, so I wasn't going to get that explosive. You can let one go off occasionally, but, you know, just very sparingly. Make sure you have a good reason. When you're fighting this trash on fortified, the wicked bolts are gonna shred. So you do want to kick those. There's very little else you need to kick unless you have a collector in your party, where he has the collect souls or something. We're about to see it, and that channels and spawns add over the duration of the channel. And you don't really want that, and you also want to use stuns and stops to stop his dot that collects. No. He just recast it. Apparently it will recast collected sins. Maybe it was just early. But the Siphon Life, if that goes out, your healer, again, needs to dispel that ASAP. You see I just throw a big heal into the Warlock there. Not that she particularly needed it, but it's good to be safe there. And I would usually, I don't know why I'm not focusing the Collector. Probably because it's bullshit now. It's showing a ton of more damage into the big guy. You know. In a lot of ways, the auto attacks is the only thing that is any difference from Prot Paladin and AoE. But no, it's okay. He's bolstered, and if there's a bolstered thrash going off and it's too rough, you can always line of sight it. I don't know if you can still range it, but no. Also, the smarter thing to do is pull those, you know, trashmen, whatever those little guys are, muckmen. Pull them like late into the pull, so that, you know, generally when they have a similar amount of health to, you know, when you get the shard down to a similar amount of health, or at least half or lower. Therefore, the, you know, the bolstering will be less effective on the current health scaling of the mob, and it's less likely to be too long a duration of the fight because everything has similar health, and, you know, you're gonna get hopefully consistent AoE on stuff. I don't know, if you're rogue, and I'm not really sure how enhance is right now, but see, again, I pull him in early. It's probably not the smart thing to do. I probably pull him early, and I'm like, 2 single target damage. Rogue is very likely doing, you can see him right there behind the shard. He's dumping all of his finishers into Halkias, single target, and keeping up with the AoE kind of as best you can. You'll find that rogues are going to be kind of doing that. Sure, rogues can do great damage too, but when they get a bunch of adds and they can like Fan of Knives and get a bunch of combo points and then dump all that into a single target finisher, you're generating combo points faster than you would in a single target scenario. So that's known as funnel damage. When more adds, you know, allow you to do more damage to any specific member of that pole, right? That's funnel. Frost Mage is funnel. Paladin kind of has funnel with Divine Toll, right? Like, if you have more targets than one, you know, you'll have throw more shields for Toll. Like, you know, if you have less than 5, right, you're technically losing damage on Toll. That's another example of funnel. Anyway, point is, you know, rogues are still very capable of that. And at the very least, it's good to have somebody trying to match the high health pools of you know, the shards with the lower stuff, even if it's not the rogue, even if it's not through a very, you know, efficient funnel method. And I'm gonna hate this. So when you pull like this with Paladin, you want to throw your shield at the back one so that it bounces toward you to the other mob in combat. Otherwise, if you Avenger Shield the closer Obliterator, it'll bounce to the further Obliterator and then potentially bounce to the Collector. And that's a pull you want to do sometimes. It doesn't look like I'm super into doing that right now. I have one trinket. I don't even think I'm wearing that trinket. So I'm probably like, you know, and I'm bleeding. My thing's on cooldown. I'm just trying not to get hit in the back. We hodge that Gargan. Obliterator, though, if your DPS in this scenario is happening, yeah, well, you want to stop the Gargan, but for me, and your tank might have a different outlook on it, but for me, I want you to be shutting down the Obliterator and not letting it cast. Because Wicked Bolts, you know, there's no running from that, you know, unless you actually get 40 yards. And typically you don't want to, that's called the Paladin grip, right, is when you outrange something by 40 yards and it has to move towards you to be able to cast on you. Very old school, and it sucks if you don't have, you know, it always sucks, right? Because when you're kiting mobs over such great distances, every class is going to have trouble keeping it except for melee, right? Like, but yeah, see, I did it right here. Shard's very low. I pull in this group that I know I want. I don't have the explosive weak aura yet when we ran this key. That's big upsetting. And you can see that, what's the bolster on Halkias? One bolster Halkias, the ground effect on Tyrannical 18. One shot, you know, a melee. That's for real damage, and that's not to be calling out the melee. It's just, hey, like, there's no... And now it's a triple bolster. But see, look at that. Triple bolstered when it had, like, under 10% of its health left, then it dies. You're not losing anything there. And again, the worst buff in the history of mankind. I just pull all this because I just want to spend my buff. I guess I don't pull a crap on the side. I think on this one, Sarah Rogue also tanks. Occasionally, has been getting into it, so I've been trying to show him stuff I do. And he's the Venthier in this dungeon currently, so I'm gonna show him. I still Woe, which. Even with the Rogue, man, I like Woe better than Mass Stealth because Mass Stealth is worse than, you know, an Invis, and you can still pull mobs and they can still kind of see you. And it doesn't give you the speed buff. But anyway, I show him how to, I'm pretty sure I show him how to pull the Gargan for the second boss, and at the very least I'll be able to talk about it here. I think I did it in a video. I'm not sure if I posted the video though. Anyway, this pull sucks. This is a pull where, in my opinion, if you want to use cooldowns to live this pull longer without having to move, You see the blind there interrupting the loyal beasts. Probably got a cast or two from an obliterator. Always good value when you hit 10 targets. But see, yeah, you blow the cooldown. I didn't blow anything, but I guess I had Ardent. I don't know. The mobs aren't particularly dangerous, right? But if I had gotten multiple stacks of the bleed, then that would have been a different story. But you want them all clumped up. People do more damage to mobs that are stacked directly on top of each other. Make sure you're... If you're ever doing 2 of these, you have to spam it. And I've seen 3 happen. Guaranteed. Murphy starts barking again. Neighbors just got home. They are a reactive species. Now the Frenchie Bulldog is the best dog in the world. About to start barking again. Please excuse. Also, we got Vi here, which sucks. Vi always sucks to get on Trinical Boss, because Vi does a bunch of damage. You know, if you get hit by this lane attack. And also jumps around, so you can't get... Look, it's out of the... It's almost out of the circle, and then it's back into melee, right? Like, and if your melee's on the other side, it might not be able to cleave it. So, can't control it, which, you know, isn't the only reason people don't take it over the CDR, but it doesn't help. This was, like, tormented when, you know, Sagadon and... Sagadon Days and the Wraith Chill gentlemen had the worst powers and were the biggest pain in the ass to fight. No. Sorry. Had the worst powers and had the least problematic final, you know, aura affix from being left alive on the final boss, right? Like, your physical damage, generally your tank could live that. You know, exception would be like Sanghi, you know, that bleed that the affix applies to everybody, but typically that and the movement speed was what people skipped for time, right? Anyway, we're going on and on. Yeah, I've yet to, even last season with the 20s, right? I would just stand in one spot and eat this. I know I can't do it on, like, other tanks, or Bear at least. But, you know, if you just slap these all in the same spot, and then, you know, just drag boss when he's near 100 energy, you'll have a lot of room. So, yeah, I bring these all the way back. We just want to, you know, I just don't want anything to... This is inefficient. I don't want people going up there, because we've butt-pulled other stuff, even just going up there to Invispot. So if we're going to go up there and get in combat, then that's not something I'm really too interested in. Also helps you LOS the explosives that are... Not that one, apparently, because it could see us, but you get Woe Drifter here. Kick it. Wow. Surprised we kicked it. Put a mark on myself so Heron can find me. Always kicks turn to stone, otherwise you get an 8-second dot. Thankfully I get dispelled here. But yeah, when you have this woe, just kill the other stuff first so you have maximum time with the woe buff. Didn't kick that one. Here's not necessarily, you know, what you need, but you never know. You never know when you might want additional time on that buff. Also, it's a DR, and so the faster you get up there, you know, the more helpful it is for the boss fight. So here's where the Gargan is that you can pull up to the second boss, thanks to the Titan Forge podcast, Dratnos, Tettles, and Trell. But like, so you basically you don't want to aggro. Yeah, this is kind of what sucked. You don't want to aggro groundskeepers, and the Stoneborn Slasher. Pretty sure if you do it and he's in range, he'll end up seeing you or the Stoneborn or something. But I leave the Rogue to it. I feel like I should have told him to get it right here, but I don't know. We're still trying this, and we're also trying to do it while not, like, busting keys. Also, we're losing time here. Who knows if we saved 25 seconds. It will make the boss easier, right? But this certainly might be longer. And I think what the Rogue does here is, like, our Shroud's going to wear off. And At that point, he vanishes. But guess who doesn't vanish? The Stoneborn, right? The Stoneborn will woe buff with you, but he will not vanish. So a rogue dies and we learn a lesson. Like, it's cool, right? We're trying to figure shit out. We're pretty well paced. We have 16 and a half minutes left on halls, right before second boss. I'm fine with that. And he got within Master Res range. When you're dying downstairs, always get within Master Res range of that big staircase. Because if you're releasing back at the front, you know, you're kind of trolling. Anyway, this boss always kind of tough. You know, just a good amount of damage. Prot Paladin has this. You know, back when I used to play Hallow in all my keys, and like this was cool. It'd wipe out the first set of ads or the second if I held it right. But having toll for every set through the Mechanicos cooldown reduction is super duper helpful, and you would just save it here. It also allows you to get more funnel onto the boss, right? Also, Turn to Stone is a... Oh, no. Getting that cheat death on cooldown. Cheat death's so good. Turn to Stone is a curse. So if you're a druid or a shaman, and I think that's it. Oh, and mage, right? You can just decurse yourself or somebody else, and allow them to more easily deal with it. Typically, if you can like see the person who has the stone leap, you should... I bubble this. Nope. You should dispel them to give them more, you know, flexible. One, it's slowing you down. You know, two, if you take it off, some classes can even get away from the jump, you know, in the time that they get picked and then jumped at. So I would always recommend that if you need to dispel yourself or somebody else in the moment. It's like 2 or 3 second window of shit happening. So you know, and always just make sure nobody else is in that. You've probably been hit by this 1,000 times and it probably didn't do anything, but if you're doing, you know, keys any higher than this, it's certainly going to be a problem. And Prot out. Hand of the Protector again. Like, you know, Holy Priest is working hard and always does, Bell, but it's really nice just to have, it's like the group has a pocket healer that can, you know, just spend a little extra resources. Also, Paladin's so powerful that it doesn't seem like it's a big deal to... If you're giving up your mitigation, right, and you, like, Shield of the Righteous, I'm at low stat count, but you're typically capped on that anyway. Not stat count, but duration, right? You're typically at the 11 or 12% max. But there's nothing wrong with losing a little damage for a lot of healing, and still easily ramping up to the 13-second cap. Like, with the amount of holy power and divine purpose you use in dungeons. Woo. Boom, big heal. Boom, heal the priest. It's at 81k non-crit. Like, holy shit. Some days I tank this inside. I don't think I have done that lately, but I was just line of sight it right here in the door, get it all stacked up. The hunters aren't easy to move otherwise. And also, you're going to want more room to kite around. This is another scenario where, man, if you can kill faster, it'll allow your tank to maybe stay in longer. But now I've got 8 stacks. I don't have a Kyrian file available. I do have bop. I don't really want to bop myself with 2 melee in the group. And I don't run bubble talent, but, you know, if you do, there's, you know, that's always an extra option. You just lose so much damage and healing and cooldown time by not taking Righteous Protector. Anyway, there's a collector in here as well. So you want to make that kick, and then you do want to prioritize the Wicked Bolts, while not getting fronted by the deadly thrusts, while instantly dispelling the Siphon Life dot, and while getting the occasional Wicked Bolt kick. This is bolstering, so again, the danger would be if we just didn't kill an obliterator and then we just didn't kick it, or you know, if somebody stood in front of the deadly thrust, which, you know, you got to move sometimes as a tank. So I don't know. Fighting the here is kind of rough, but I never pull the group in that original room anymore. We might see me do something here. I don't think we do it. Yeah, we totally do. Cool. So instead of dragging all this on top of the boss, this is tyrannical. There's a better time save in this dungeon, and you probably know what it is. We'll talk about the boss. This boss, easy as shit, just like every other mythic boss. But it's going to be a little bit longer. 11 minutes left, right? We're only going to get one more lust, and that's going to be. Yeah, I think we're worried that we're not going to have lust for the ad. So we do want to kill the ad. This is the worst, one of the worst weeks. The other one being the other explosive weeks for the upstairs group. I think it's upstairs, you know, because every group you engage with on the following trash, you know, will start spawning orbs at the rate that you know, mobs do regularly until you kill them. You can, you know, get in combat, quote unquote, with either the first two sets or the second two sets, right? And like, if you don't actively attack any mob in, like, you know, the close up parishioner, you know, groups, then they won't spawn explosives until you do. So that's kind of something to consider. But what we're going to do here is we're going to take, you know, the caster, wait for Dark Communion, and then blow every cooldown we have with double Gargans. And we're going to get the vibe buff as well, because you're not going to be able to take the buff through the door, you know, and you should probably have finished this fight with, you know, a cooldown ready for the next pull anyway. You lose a little bit of time on single target damage, but the most time you can make up in this dungeon is by not having to kill every parishioner upstairs. I call them parishioners. Tormented souls, you know. So we kind of like limp over the finish line. Boss isn't hard. It kind of never is. You do want to get kicks, and if you have a squish tank, I don't know. I've never seen this boss, like, I don't think I've ever wiped to it, knock on wood, in any group. If your healer has a pulse, you're fine. And late into a tyrannical fight, you know, these things won't be spawned. You know, when you get some of the fixates, so you have to kind of just wait for one to spawn during that fixate. You know, they're not very fast, and the AoE damage isn't the worst thing in the world. Grievous, this would be hard. This would be hard, tyrannical Grievous, and I'm sure it is, right? Yeah, you still want to respect mechanics, but I just generally, my opinion of that boss is that he's never dangerous. So again, we kill Vi here. Another strat would be, if this is Fort, right, you would go up there and kill probably Woe, because you're not gonna phase the ad in between communions, and this would be a great DR, you know, and even movement speed. It's not even the explosives, just those ads sucks, right? They melee people, there's like nothing you can do. But the double Gargan, so again, when you double Gargan, you want to make sure they're standing right on top of each other. And then you want to spam it. And there we have both, we go through, don't touch. If you're, turn MO aura off if you're a Demon Hunter, no touchy. You can't even touch the boxes, like, you need to do maximum single target damage to Inquisitor Stingar. So if that includes Fan of Knives in the boxes, cool. I don't really care what buff we get here. The important thing is the time save here is going to be just killing this guy before he does another Dark Communion cast. And when you're ranged, do be careful that you're not in line of sight of any other explosions that you could possibly have avoided. But as you can see here, we easily handle it. This is the first higher halls that we managed to do that, and it's directly due to the Gargans. You know, they gave us, I couldn't even tell you, a couple 100k damage on that ad. And then we're going home with this guy. People gonna get hit by... Good God, that furious Frenchie. Don't do lawn work within eye shot of my puppers. Anyway, yeah. So people are gonna get hit by this boss on 18. It doesn't particularly seem to be one-shotting anybody. The one thing you do want to watch out for is DPS. Like, if you get double hit, you're gonna die. And it can happen if you're near another statue and one rebounds off another. You know, it's no bueno. Also, there's a frontal that Warlock isn't going to move out of. I gave her a bunch of shit. I always like to point out that she looks exactly like an imp. And she says, "Why do you have imp health bars?" Ooh, see people just getting handed. Remember, if you go directly in between two statues and just get straight into the transparent part of the hitbox, like, you know, like the center, right? But not through the center. You can get 2. I think you can get 3 if you stand on one head on and wedge. You know, that's a little harder. But 2, definitely do 2 as a tank. It's going to be super helpful. Fewer people have to take it. You taking 2 beams is likely better than a DPS taking 1, especially depending on the DPS. Also, you're not liable to, you know, you certainly aren't going to die that much. See the double hit, right? Like, it happens. We get the battle res out. I get in the crotch here. And remember, I think if you're I think if you're a small race, that you have to stand further back from this guy, otherwise it goes over your head. I might be wrong on that, but I'm gonna pretend that I'm not, because it's funny to me. Definitely don't get hit by that. Tank dot does kind of hurt on this boss, on Tyrant. Like, you know, 18 isn't exactly the highest skill in the world, but if you're not really on it, your tank isn't the best, or your healer's not the best, that can be a problem. Again, like Grievous Week, that's a massive problem potentially. Use cooldowns for it, you know. You can bubble it off too as Paladin. I don't really see a need to. I'd probably rather get the bubble on, you know, available for my hearth out, because it speeds up the time. Anyway, that's Halls 18. We got some score out of that. We got no socketed avoidance necklace. We were very sad. I got the weekly completed though. Very happy. Yeah, there's the necklace. No tertiaries. Big upset. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.